Hey guys, this is Mark with Epic Outcomes by eXp with your monthly update and outlook on the East Tennessee market. So let's jump on in. We're going to try to keep this brief for you, but give you some key insights as we are getting into the summer buying season, and we want to make sure that you are making the right decisions. As always, if you have questions following the presentation, reach out to me, ask. I'll be happy to send you the slide deck and answer any questions that we didn't cover in the presentation. So if you don't know us yet, we are Mark and Kelly Brewer. We've been doing this for quite some time. We live here just in the Knoxville suburbs and operate a handful of STRs over in the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area, as well as do a lot of business here in the Knoxville metro region. So if you are looking to move to East Tennessee, give us a call. We want to help you out. Without further ado, let's jump into things. So as always, we are working in arrears on data here. So March is the latest data we have, but it does confirm a lot of what we've been looking at. So our East Tennessee home sales report, it says April here. This is actually, it's March data. They call it the April report. As you can see, slight uptick, not a big surprise there. If you look at the chart down on the bottom right with me, you'll see that we are starting to pick back up activity. It looks a lot like April and May of last year. Not a surprise. This is our big early summer season where people are moving into the region. So overall, East Tennessee home sales jumped about 12% from the prior month. Not a big surprise there. Median sale price coming in about 3 3/4 or $375,000. That's up from the previous year. You'll see other data published out there that says that like the median market average price in the Knoxville area is $400,000. That's when we incorporate some of those suburbs that actually carry slightly higher prices. So when you start folding in Oak Ridge, Farragut, Cedar Bluff, areas that are not part of Knoxville proper within the city limits, you do get an uptick in the overall price point there. Total housing inventory, this is a huge one, has increased 25% from last year. That means you've got more options. We are still in a seller's market. You're going to see that in the next slide that we put up, but it's an improvement, and that's better. For those of you who are looking to move to East Tennessee, this means that we've got more on the market. Some of that's coming from builders, some of that's coming from people moving on out of the region, either for relocation or looking for stuff outside of the area, maybe looking into further counties out. We are still moving homes quickly. Half the homes sold were under contract in 35 days or less. Now that is meaningfully higher than 21 days a year ago. That's actually quite a jump. What that means is you're probably not having to get into bidding wars unless it is a very, very effectively priced house in a very, very desirable region. I will tell you there's 2 houses in our neighborhood, and this is a neighborhood a lot of people want to be in. They both came on the market. We thought they'd both be gone by the end of the weekend. One of them was, one of them wasn't. Now they're both under contract, but it did take about 14 days for those to both get picked up. So most homes in the area are being priced fairly well. At 42.5% of the homes going at asking price or slightly above, that tells you that realtors in the area are in general pricing things pretty well. So I wouldn't necessarily expect to come in here getting a steal of a deal and bidding way under. Again, seller's market. List to price ratio tells us roughly the same thing. Most homes are selling very close to where they're listed. But new construction is making up a larger portion of what we're seeing sold in the Knoxville metro area. It's up to about 16% of total home sales. That's a good thing. That means builders are bringing things to market. We hope that that continues. Certainly with some of the things that we've seen lately in the economy, tariffs, trade problems, that could cause a little bit of an issue for some of the builders. At the same time, I think a lot of these guys have been planning, and unfortunately some of those will be passed on costs, so we probably will see higher home prices on some of the new construction. That may sway your decision going forward as to whether you want to find something that's already in the market, an established home, or whether you look at new construction. But we do have some great options on new construction. Happy to talk to you about some of the better builders in the region in one of our other videos that's coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. So, outlook. Well, very slow start to the year, but March sales did jump. Q1 2025 overall was actually lower than last year. I think a lot of people were thinking that it's been a while, nobody really bought anything as rates started to climb, but you're always going to have relocations and people moving into the region. I think that in the next quarter, we're going to see probably numbers that outpace last year. Inventory is promising, and obviously you got to have inventory to see things move. Looking at about 2,800 new listings in March. The March volume of 1878 tells you the growth of the new listings, and then what the pending sales was. We should be actually looking at more availability. Again, we've got buyer reluctance in the area. Mortgage rates are still not what people would love to see, but honestly, if you look at the longer cycle, these are actually still reasonably attractive rates. Certainly with prices having climbed the way they are, it makes for a higher portion of the overall monthly budget for folks, but there are still options out there that make sense, and we're hoping to see some of that retread down. Maybe we'll see those interest rates drop half a point, full point. And for those of you who don't know the terms, when I say a point, I'm talking maybe 0.5%. When we talk basis points, that's actually 100 basis points per 1%. So if someone says, oh, we're down 8 basis points, that's not down 8%, that's down 8/100ths of 1%. So don't get those two confused. Again, growing inventory is a positive. Talking about our active listings by county. Now again, this is expanding things a little bit and looking at Knox County compared to those around it. If you look over here, we've actually seen more listings come on the market month over month than what we would have seen last year in almost every area except Fentress County, which Fentress County, again, you look at the numbers here, middle to lower third of total availability there. So not a surprise if you have a good move in what's out there without a couple people putting things on the market, it's going to have a retread. Overall, inventory in Knox County is up about 11%. That's a positive because this is our biggest region. This is our biggest area for buyers in the market. Loudoun County being very nearby, and Blount County, also kind of our southwest here as you get down towards Maryville, Alcoa, our three biggest regions, all seeing an increase in double digits as to what's on the market. Loudoun County seeing actually a big bump. So if you are looking to maybe look in the Lennar City area, just west of Farragut and the western suburbs here, that's a good option for you. There is more availability in that area than we've seen in a little while, so that's a real positive. If you want to do something over in Lennar County, give us a call. We're right around the corner from us. We're very familiar, good schools over there, lots to do, still a really pretty area. A little further from the park, but that's okay because 321 picks up right in the middle of Lennar City and runs right into the mountains. So you're still looking for that outdoor life, this is still a good option for you. So, high level, still looking at a seller's market in Knox County. We're only talking about 2 months of inventory right now. We really want to see that climb up to 3 to 4 months of inventory, if not more, to give us a balanced market. So as it stands right now, you're still going to need to be prepared. You need to come into this market, you need to have talked to us, we need to put you in touch with a mortgage lender, and you need to have a pre-approval letter ready. If you don't, and you wait to pull the trigger on that, there's a good chance that the home that you wanted is going to get snuck out from under you by somebody else. So don't come into a seller's market unprepared if you know that this is where you want to be. Continuing to see growth in home values here, this is a positive. Again, this is within Knox County. So our median estimated value, just over $400,000, still a very attractive price point for a lot of people, especially to be in a city the size of Knoxville. Now depends upon what pocket and what area you're in, you're going to see very significant changes. If you're looking in certain zip codes like 37922 out here in the Farragut area, that median home value is actually going to be up in the $600,000 to $700,000. There are areas like Fountain City, great area, really close to downtown, smaller homes, a little bit older, but wonderful area, easy commute into downtown. You're going to be closer to the $325,000, $330,000 range. So depending upon what you need and where you want to be, this median number may or may not be applicable. Talk to us, let us walk you through, check out our videos on top neighborhoods. Maybe you want to be in South Knox, maybe you're looking at Old North Knox. These are all things that are going to influence and sway what you can play within your budget. So talk to us about those factors, we'll help you force rank them and then figure out where you need to be. So, new listings in Knoxville. We've had a nice bump, up 855 properties over it. You can see list price, again, hovering there. It's been fairly flat for the last year. That's a good thing. That helps us out. That means that we get some market stability. People kind of know what to expect. So, again, this is talking about 1,800 square feet. So we're paying a little over 200 a square foot. We're looking at about 230 on average, okay? Active listings, same thing. See a slightly lower price per square foot on stuff that's the active listing. Does it surprise me that new listings have a slightly higher than the active listings are on the market? No, because active listings are stuff that have been on the market. They were new listings last month or the month before, which means they probably had a little bit of price cut. So it's a natural attrition to see those kind of creep back down. Again, Lots of stability there. In fact, if you look at it, since February 23, we've actually seen these retread. That is a good thing. We don't want to see home prices come down, and overall we're seeing average home prices creep up over time. But when active listings stick around and they come down in price, that means they're getting slightly more affordable as they sit on the market. There may be reasons why they're sitting on the market. Again, find yourself a realtor in the area who can help you discern why or why not something would be moving quickly or should not be moving quickly. Epic Outcomes by EXP would be a great choice for that. All right, sold listings. As you can see, sold listings again staying fairly flat, coming in about 217 a square foot. So as you notice, the difference between the current listing at 230s and then what we're looking at 217 a square foot on the median average price, not a huge disparate gap there. And as we said before, a lot of things are selling pretty close to what they were marked at. So let's be honest, again, the good homes move fairly quickly, generally move at the price or even slightly above what they're listed for. So let's jump in and start talking about Sevier County. For those of you who are unaware, Sevier County sits just east of Knox County, southeast of Knoxville. It's right off I-40, runs down into the Great Smoky Mountains. This is a robust STR market. As you can see, we got it marked up there on the slide. This is an area where we saw a tremendous amount of investment over the last couple of years. It has seen some of the fastest growth rate of anything in the area, and part of that is because you have the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. This is the most popular park in America by visitors. It sees almost 14 million visitors a year. It's an amazing place. This is a vacation rental market that has been around for decades upon decades upon decades. Literally, it was popular when I was a toddler. So this is a place where you have a ton of investors, and it really leans investor heavy. It's one of the reasons that you see higher median prices in an area that's not in a major urban development area. You've got Dollywood, all of Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Wares Valley. There's so many different places that are all kind of clustered together here and give people an amazing opportunity to come and vacation really year round. We're talking 10 out of 12 months of the year, you see robust activity here. So what is the story? Why do we have such a buyer's market? Well, when we were seeing 2.5% and 3.5% interest rates a couple of years ago, we had people racing in to buy here. So from 2020 up through about 2023, we saw people pouring into this market. And because no one wanted to miss out on the trend of buying an STR and retiring for life because it was going to make you that much money, we saw tons and tons of investment. We've seen builders come in and add stuff to the market. Is it a saturated market? No. Is it saturated from the standpoint of a lot of mediocre offerings? Yes, that's absolutely true. There are tons of great properties out there to buy. But you have to be ready to go. You have to be looking for the right opportunity. There's plenty of junk to buy as well. That's why we always say, work with a realtor who understands the market and knows what works here. Not just based on price, but what is going to make for a good investment. That's why Epic Outcomes exists, is to help you do that. So anyway, when we look at this, it is the complete antithesis. We're talking about 9 months of inventory. We've seen even more come on the market as of late. That does not mean that you shouldn't be buying here. In fact, some of the biggest names in co-hosting and STR ownership are back looking in this market because prices have started to flatten out and even decline. So you can get deals here. Numbers still work, numbers make sense, especially if you're buying something that makes sense right now and you're looking at a market trend, that is going to have things moving north over time from a nightly average daily rental rate perspective. And if you get an opportunity to bring down your financing costs, that's going to even amplify that margin even more. But you got to know what you're doing. You got to have the right amenities. You got to have the right property. But look, let's talk about what's been going on here. So average 51 days on the market. That has come down. That does mean that people are getting more realistic. It means that there's more buyers in the market are starting to take things off the market. As things started to move, we've seen a little more inventory come into the market. So people who before were wondering whether they could get something sold are now probably putting things out there. We are seeing better pricing. We've done a number of deals ourselves. So what should we be thinking about for Sevier County? Well, let's talk about it. Let's move on to the next slide. If we jump down here, you can see this has had a much more choppy balance. If you look at what's going on from, call it May of 22 on through, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down on values. Now, part of that is you have a wide variety of stuff in the market too that's available. And so there's anything from 1-bedroom cabins that are coming in, and even condos that are coming in the 200, 300, 400,000 range, up to these mega cabins that are going for $1 million plus. So that does waver things around. There's not quite as much uniformity. Certainly there's more on the lower end than there is on the higher end as far as total count of inventory, and so that makes a difference as well. So let's look at the new listings here for Sevier County. We're actually seeing, the average price is starting to come in a tighter range. But if you went back to the Knoxville charts and looked at this chart, you can see it bounces around quite a bit on what that average. We're talking jumping 50, 75,000 in any given period. And a lot of that is about what came to market in that month. Is it some of those bigger cabins? Is it new builds that are priced higher? Or is it slower stuff? Active listings are actually coming down on median price. Why? Well, if you have things that are sitting on the market, and you do have 1,793 properties that are on the market in this area, that's up 7%. That's more competition from a seller standpoint that contributes to a buyer's market. And what it means is people having to soften up those prices to get those prices back down. So for those of you who are looking for your first STR or an addition in that market, something that we specialize in, we are telling you right now, be patient. You don't have to wait 4 or 5 more months. In fact, there are deals all the time. Be aggressive, get in there, see what you can get it done for. This is a market that's very durable, and if you're doing the right things, there is still plenty of money to be made in the Airbnb VRBO market. But know what you're buying, know where you're buying, and know what you should be buying at. Get your numbers in order, do your research before you go in and start making offers. There's no reason to race into it. Right now, you want to be looking for the right deals, okay? Let's get on down here. Sold listings. And you can see we've seen some dramatic wild swings. And this does not mean that prices are dipping and bobbing and weaving all over the place. Again, a lot of this has more to do with what's sold. So if you have a couple of higher end quality properties that are larger and priced at a higher point, they're going to sway that average up in any one given period. Whereas if some of the smaller ones sold, or we weren't able to move some of the bigger ones in the market, that's going to bring down that median price per square foot. Overall inventory continues to be at a high. This is probably as much as we've seen in a while. There are people who will say, man, doesn't that mean there's just saturation in the market? Well, there is a certain level of saturation because generally older properties don't leave the market. But this is also an expansion of what was been available in Sevier County. And if you've been to Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg, you realize there is a ton of growth going on in the area. And I'm not talking about just cabins, I'm talking about businesses. What is being drawn into the region? We have new places for people to visit, new activities for things to do in the area. And so you've got just general gross growth in Sevier County. And so that's not a bad thing. That actually builds some level of economic stability over there. It's a year-round short-term rental market, and that means that there's going to be more to do more often. That requires more housing. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I will say this level of inventory does tell me that there are people who raced in, weren't prepared, and probably are now looking to back away from the market because they overshot what their real investment window should be. Take advantage of that, use it as an opportunity to get yourself a foothold in the market. This has been a place that people visit for decades. It is the most visited national park in the United States by a long shot, close to 14 million visitors a year. That's park alone. You can take a portion of that and make yourself some really strong passive income by owning and operating a high quality Airbnb property in here. So, last thing, mortgage rates. Trickling down. We're not where we want to be yet. Would love to see this come down probably into the high 5s. I do think it's going to take many months for us to get there. There is no reason right now for the Fed to race out and rescue things. We are not in a post-COVID era where the global economy is grinding to a halt. Do we look like we're in a recession? Yeah, there's a good chance that we're in a mild recession. That's okay. I think we're going to pull ourselves out of it. But you've got to be ready to foot the bill for it at these rates because I don't expect it to come down. Will there be a chance to refinance if you buy right now? Yes, I think you're going to see that. I think that window is going to open up, but it may be a year and a half. So when you're running your numbers, looking at what it is that you can afford, whether you're buying in the Knoxville and surrounding markets for your own residential purchase, or if you're buying in the investment market kind of over in Sevier County. And let's not forget, you can buy investment properties, long-term, mid-term holds in the Knoxville market. That's actually a great way to play. If you can make the numbers work, this is an area that is projected to see continuous growth for the next decade. And at pretty strong rates. So getting a toehold in that market from a long-term investor standpoint, great idea. And there are some really top-notch areas in and around Knoxville that need growth, they need additional properties, and that you can do really well. Reach out if you want to talk more about that. So, but again, we're sitting at about 6.8 right now. We did trickle down below that. We saw it bump back up. Should see it go back down, but I do think that's going to be a slow, steady decline, not anything that's rapid. So, you know, here's our promotional. I'm not going to sit here and read through this. I could give you 25, 30 more of these in a heartbeat. We like working with people because we want to make a difference. We don't sell houses, we find homes. What we're looking for is the right thing for you. If you're an investor and you're looking for the right investment, we're going to tell you when we don't think it works. We're going to tell you when you think that you're stepping into the wrong place at the wrong time. We have pretty strict criteria on what we buy for ourselves, and we want our clients to apply that same strict criteria because it shouldn't feel like a burden to put your money to work for you. It should be something that makes your life easier. So, with that being said, contact information is at the bottom of the slide. Shoot us a text at this number, give us a call, pop us an email, doesn't matter. Also, like and subscribe to our channel because that makes a difference for us, helps us help you. We want to be a solutions provider. We want to be here to inform you. We want to be here to help you. Let us know how we can do that, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.